All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are opening up the consultant's playbook for what is, no joke, one of the most critical parts of managing a project, getting the resources. And look, this isn't about filling out some forms and hoping for the best. This is a strategic game. It's about intelligence, it's about sharp analysis, and it's definitely about negotiation. All to get the team and the tools you absolutely need to win. So, let's dive in. So let's just kick things off with a big question. You can have the most beautiful, detailed, perfectly put together project plan on the planet, but what's the one thing that really truly separates that piece of paper from a project that actually gets done successfully? It all comes down to this: the resources you can actually get your hands on. See, a plan, that's just a promise. But the team, the equipment, the space to work, that is what makes the promise real. Without them, the best plan in the world is, well, just wishful thinking.
Okay, so to really master this, we're going to walk through our 6-part playbook. First up, we'll talk about why this is such a high-stakes game. Then, we'll get into gathering your intelligence and opening up the strategic toolkit. After that, it's all about making your winning moves, locking down your assets, and finally, understanding the ripple effect this has on, well, everything.
So let's start with the stakes. And I mean, really understand them. This is not just some administrative box to tick. You have to think of it like a high-stakes game, where every single move you make could be the difference between success and failure. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The project management body of knowledge, the PMBOK guide itself, lays it out in no uncertain terms. Getting this wrong isn't some tiny little hiccup. No, it's a direct threat to literally every single way you measure success, from your schedule and your budget all the way to whether your customer is happy at the end. And that really is the core challenge, right? Your project, it's a promise you made to your stakeholders. And the resources, your people, your tools, your materials, they're the only way you can actually keep that promise. So if you fail to get what you need, the fallout is brutal. We're talking delays, budgets spiraling out of control, shoddy quality, and even the worst case scenario, the entire project gets canceled. So where do we even begin? Well, before you make a single move, you gather intelligence. Now, in the official lingo, these are called inputs. But let's be real, a top consultant treats this like they're building a complete mission dossier. This is your strategic briefing. You know, trying to acquire resources without this information is like walking into a high-stakes negotiation completely blind. It's not going to go well. But when you have the right intel, suddenly you've got a map. You know your strategy, you know the tactical details of the battlefield, and you understand the whole environment you're operating in. We can actually structure all those inputs into a really powerful 3-part dossier. First, you've got the playbook. This is all your internal stuff, your resource plan, your procurement plan. This is your game plan. Second is the field manual. This gets into the nitty-gritty tactical details like the project schedule and exactly what you need. It tells you who, what, and when. And finally, you have the environment. Think of this as the rules of the game, company policies, and what's happening out in the marketplace. These are the things you just can't ignore. Okay, intelligence gathered. Now it's time to open up the toolkit. And the first set of tools we're pulling out are all about analysis, using a structured, logical framework to make the smartest, most objective decisions you possibly can. And a killer tool right at the top of the list is multi-criteria decision analysis. I know, it sounds super complicated, but the idea behind it is actually beautiful and simple. It's just a structured way to rate your options, whether it's a person or a server, against a list of things you've decided are important. And here's the magic part. It helps you strip out gut feelings, personal bias, and office politics from the equation. The whole thing breaks down into 4 really simple steps. First, you define your criteria. What actually matters for this role or this thing? Second, you weight them, because let's be honest, they're probably not all equally important, right? Third, you score each of your options against those criteria. And fourth, you just do the math. The numbers will point you to your objective winner. Let's make this real. Say we need a senior developer. Our criteria are availability, cost, and experience. Now notice, we've weighted availability as the most important factor at 40%. The internal person, option A, is cheaper and knows our systems inside and out, but they're stuck on another project. The contractor, option B, costs more but can start tomorrow. So when we run the numbers and calculate the weighted scores, the external contractor actually edges out the win. This kind of data-driven approach gives you a solid, defensible reason for your choice. But here's the thing. Analysis, that just gives you the right answer. It doesn't actually get you the resource. For that, you have to make your winning moves. And this is where we get into the art of negotiation. And as a project manager, you are almost always fighting a war on two fronts. Internally, you're negotiating with functional managers to get their best people. The key here is influence, showing them how putting their star player on your project is a win for the whole company. But externally, with vendors and contractors, the whole game changes. The focus shifts to contracts, formal agreements, and of course, price. Here, the key is pure preparation. You never ever walk into a price negotiation without knowing exactly what their competitors charge. The tactics are totally different, but you have to master both. So once the analysis is done, the deals are made, and the handshakes are over, you finally reach the win state. In project management terms, we call these the outputs. But really, they're the tangible, documented proof that you have successfully secured your project's assets. So the first key output is your physical resource assignments. Think of this as the official paper trail. It's the document that says that specific piece of equipment, that particular meeting room, or those key materials are now formally, officially assigned to your project. They're yours. And of course, just as critical are the project team assignments. This is your official team roster, but it is so much more than just a list of names. It clearly documents who is on the team, exactly what their role is, and what they're on the hook for delivering. This simple act of writing it down makes the team feel real and creates crystal clarity for everyone involved. But hold on, we are not done yet. Getting a resource isn't the finish line. It's more like throwing a stone in a pond. It's an action that sends ripples out across the entire project ecosystem, and you absolutely have to account for all those changes. A single decision has this massive project-wide impact. First, your project plans have to change. Your cost baseline has to be updated to reflect that contractor's higher rate. Second, your key project documents need a refresh. The schedule might get pulled in, and you've got a new person to add to the stakeholder register. And finally, you have to update your company's organizational assets. That resource availability calendar needs to be changed, letting everyone else in the company know what's up. See? Every single acquisition triggers this cascade of updates, and it's your job to make sure the project documents always reflect reality. So, there you have it, the consultant's playbook for acquiring resources. We've gone from intelligence gathering and analysis all the way to securing your assets and managing the aftermath. It's a deeply strategic process, and it's what separates the projects that succeed from the ones that just stay a plan on paper. You have the playbook now. The only question left is, are you playing to win